Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today for our Text Talker webinar. My name is Trevor and I work on the content team here at Smartbox, and also online today we have my colleague Emma, who is part of our support team, and she'll be on hand to ask any questions as we go through the session, so feel free to type any questions as we go, and then at the end of the session we'll have a dedicated few minutes for question and answer. So this afternoon's session is about our Text Talker grid set. So the question to start with, I guess, is what is Text Talker? It's a text-based communication grid set, and it's available both for Grid 3 and Grid for iPad. And its central idea is that it's designed for fast and efficient message generation, so that it enables someone to keep up with the conversation as much as possible and interject and comment and so on as close to real time as is possible. But also we've tried to reduce the number of selections that you need to make in the grid in order to generate a word or a phrase. And so we've included tools like word prediction, chat history, quick phrases and conversation switching to make all of that possible. So it's all about reducing the amount of effort and increasing the speed of conversation. So just before we switch to look at Text Talker itself, just to think about who it's designed for, it's for fully literate users, and a variety of different access methods can be used, from touchscreen access using a switch, and both of those would work on either Grid for iPad or Grid 3. But for Grid 3 only, you can also use an eye gaze camera or a head pointer. So there's lots of options available for access. And I'm just going to switch now to show you the Grid 3 screen itself and show you what Text Talker looks like. And as you can see, there are quite a lot of cells on the page, as it is all designed around this on-screen keyboard. And so you do need a fair degree of accuracy to be able to make selections on this grid. For those who would need slightly larger cells, then our other main text communication grid set, Fast Talker 3, would be an alternative to consider, because that does have those larger cells. And the other thing to say is that Text Talker is focused on communication only, and it's designed for users who'd be happy to access other apps for their email, their web browsing, and so on, or maybe switch between grid sets for those things. Someone who is looking to have all of those things in one package and in one place, again, Fast Talker 3 would be an option in Grid 3 for Windows, because it includes those accessible apps. If you didn't already have access to Text Talker, the way to add it from Grid Explorer would be to go up to the menu bar and add. And then we would go to text communication, next. And then we could choose Text Talker and add it like so. So I've got 2 copies now because I had one already. So what we're going to do this afternoon is a quick tour of all the main features of the grid set and how to use them and how to make customizations. And we're going to start just with a little tour of the home screen itself. It's obviously all based around the on-screen keyboard, and at the top we've got our chat writing area here where messages are composed. So you can see as I type, the message appears.
Hello.
In the chat writing area. And when the message is ready, I'll click on the speak bubble.
Hello everyone.
The message will be spoken, and then I can clear that with the rubbish bin there in order to be ready for the next message. Also at the top of the screen here, we have a jump to the quick phrases and message banking grids. And if you have an eye gaze camera plugged in, automatically in this blank space, a rest cell would appear for eye gaze users. Going down to the bottom of the home grid, you can see there is a cell which will take you to the settings grid, which we'll be looking at a little bit later on. And also in the bottom corner, we have two cells which are for temporarily storing and retrieving messages as well. So we're going to start our talk by looking at word prediction, first of all. And Grid uses swift key word prediction, which will suggest the completion of the word that you're currently typing, and then also it will make a suggestion for the most likely next word as well. So in most cases, you should find that you only need to type 2 or 3 letters of a word, and very often for the next word, it will be suggested without you having to type any letters at all. So I'll show you an example sentence now. I'll use the prediction cells wherever possible. So I'm going to type the sentence, "Could you call me a taxi, please?" So if you keep your eye on the black row of cells immediately above the keyboard, could
you
call
me
a
taxi, please?
So you can see that in most
Could you
cases there,
call
I
me a
only had to
taxi,
type
please?
1 or 2 letters of each word, and then quite often the next word was predicted without any typing at all. I'm going to clear that phrase, and the second thing that I wanted to point out to you about word prediction is that it can cope if you mistype. So very often if you're using eye gaze, for example, it's quite easy to select the cell next to the one that you were aiming at. The word prediction can cope with that and enables you to carry on typing the word without stopping and going back and correcting and typing again. So I'm going to type the sentence now, "Could you let me finish?" But I'm going to deliberately include a couple of typing errors. So could, I'm going to start with C, and then I'm going to hit P instead of the O, but I'm just going to carry on. And you can see that even though I've misspelt slightly, the prediction still works.
Could
And then
you
let
me
me, and then let's just make another error on finish. And there we have the prediction for finish.
finish?
So if you mistype, that's fine, just carry on typing. If you do need to go back and correct, obviously you've got the backspace, which will delete one character at a time, but you can also delete a whole word as well with this cell here. And if you clear the sentence bar, and then say if you cleared by mistake, or perhaps you just cleared the sentence bar and then somebody asks you to repeat what you just said, you might sometimes want to just bring that text back quickly without having to type it again. In that case, we would just go into settings and undo clear, and it will bring that back for you. So I'm going to move on to chat history now, and that's this row above word prediction that, as I'm sure you'll have noticed as I've been typing already, it predicts whole phrases or sentences. And it gives a really, really quick way of generating whole phrases, and it comes with 5,000 phrases already preloaded. But also, with your permission, Grid will learn every phrase that you ever speak and give you a really quick way of saying it again. So the main thing that you need to know about using chat history is that rather than starting at the beginning of the sentence, you should start typing the key word in the phrase that you want. So for example, if I wanted to order a cup of coffee, I would start with the word coffee. So let's do that. And you can see that after only a few letters of the word, I've already got predictions in chat history regarding coffee. But particularly, I wanted to order a coffee with milk, and that isn't in those top 3 suggestions. So what I can do then is just click on the arrow and scroll to more suggestions, and then I can select the particular phrase that
I'd like to have a cup of coffee
I
with
want.
milk.
So if I clear that, you can see that in the chat history predictions, the phrase that I've just said is right there at the beginning. So that's a useful way if I want to repeat myself. And the way that those suggestions are made are based on 3 things. It's based on how recently you've said something, how frequently you say it, and also on your location. So it depends on where you were when you last used that phrase. So you will find that in the chat history cells, you will get different suggestions if you're, for example, perhaps at a cafe rather than when you're at home or at the doctor's surgery. Now, there might be times when you don't want a phrase that you say to be added to your chat history. So, for example, if you're having a private conversation. And so in that case, what you would just need to do is again go into settings and then just click on the padlock here which says private mode. You can see that it changes colour to indicate that private mode is now on, and from now on until I click that again, nothing that I say will be added to my chat history. So let's just prove that that's the case. So I'm going to close the settings and let's type a phrase that we wouldn't want necessarily popping up in chat history.
Not sure. That I like the new therapist.
Okay.
I'm not sure that
So
I
we can
like the
speak
new
that
therapist.
phrase. Now let's just check that that is not in chat history. So if I start to type therapist, you can see that there's only 2 phrases in chat history with the word therapist in there, and that isn't one of them. Now, it is also possible to manually remove a phrase from chat history if you've said something that you want to remove later on and you hadn't been in private mode at the time. So I'm just going to turn private mode off while we're here. And let's go back to those coffee phrases. If I go to settings now and then to manage chat history, then I can remove a phrase. So for example, if I never have sweetener in my coffee, I might just want to remove that phrase. So click on remove and select the cell. I might as well remove the other one with sweetener in it. So it's really easy to manage your chat history. So we've looked at word prediction, we've looked at chat history. So now I'd like to move on to have a look at quick phrases. These are pre-stored phrases that are organised by category that just give you a really quick way to say specific phrases in specific contexts. So if I click on the speech bubbles in the corner over here, so the phrases are in the centre of the screen and the categories are down each side, and the currently selected category is highlighted in a different colour. So by default it's in the eating and drinking category. So I could select one of these cells, and as soon as I select it, it will speak.
When do we eat?
Like so. And I might want to then switch to a different category, going out, and I might say I don't want to go today.
I don't want to go today.
So one of the great things about the quick phrases is that it's really easy for the user of the grid set themselves to edit these phrases. So you've got the remove and add buttons down here. So you don't have to go into edit mode or into settings or anything like that to modify these phrases. It can be done really simply. So we're going to do that now. We're going to add a phrase. So what I need to do first of all is just go back to the keyboard to type the new phrase. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the phrase I need more tablets to the medical appointments category in quick phrases. So first of all, I'll just type
I
the phrase here.
need more tablets.
Now I'll jump back to quick phrases. Switch to the medical appointments category first, and then I'm going to select add, and then I can choose where in the list I want this to be. And if I select a cell where there is already something there, that's okay. Everything else will just move down one. So there we go. So now the phrase is here. If I needed to remove a phrase, the procedure is very much the same. So let's say I want to take out can I pay by card. Select remove, and that's sorted there. If you ever wanted a reminder about the instructions of how to do this, just look out for the information cell there, which will take you to some brief help pages. Now the last thing I wanted to show you about quick phrases is you have these three custom categories available, and these are just to cover individual categories that are going to be different for everyone. Now it's possible to change the text that appears on these cells. We're going to change custom one. I'm going to change it into a work category. So for this, for the first time, we're going to have to go into edit mode. So menu, and then edit. And this is a really quick change to make. Just select the cell you want to change, and you'll see at the top on the ribbon bar here, there's an option to change the label. And that's all we actually need to do. So I'll click on that. I'm going to type work and hit return. And then I'm going to select finish editing, and I'm going to save the changes. So now that that's done, I could now go in and add my work related phrases. So it's really easy to customize the page. You can also change the label on any of these pre-existing categories as well. So everything is editable. From the quick phrases grid, you can also jump to the message banking grid. And so message banking is where recordings of specific words or phrases are used instead of the synthetic computer voice. So a typical use case for this might be someone with a degenerative condition, like maybe MND or ALS, and they may want to make a series of recordings while they still have the use of their voice, which can then be used later to carry on speaking with their tone and their intonation for important phrases. So I have a couple of example recordings that I already made earlier on. So if I select these. Hi. TextTalker has some really great features. Thanks for attending the webinar. Okay, so those are messages that I've already set up. But if I wanted to record some more messages, again, it's not necessary to go into settings or edit mode or any of that. We can just select record new message. And the first thing I want to do is type the text of the phrase that I'm about to record. So it brings me to this keyboard. And I'm going to record the phrase, hello everyone.
Hello. Everyone.
Once I've got the text ready, then I'll click on next. And on this grid, the big button in the middle, you press it once, the recording will start. We'll see the cell change colour to red. And then once we've finished speaking the phrase, we'll just click stop recording. And then it will take us to a grid that will play the recording back so we can check if we're happy with it. So here we go. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Okay, so here, if I wasn't happy, then I could click record again. I could go to record a new phrase, but in this case, I'm just going to save and finish because I'm going to record just one phrase at the moment. And then that has been automatically added to my banked messages. Hello everyone. You can see on the left-hand side of the grid, it says categories, and at the moment there's nothing there, it just says top level, because I've not begun to organise my messages into categories as yet. But that's a really useful thing to do if you have a lot of phrases recorded. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a category called webinar chat and put some of these phrases into that category. In order to do that, I go to menu, edit, and then settings. In fact, I didn't actually need to come into edit mode. That was my mistake. I just needed to go straight to settings. But once you're in settings, it's speech and then message banking. So on this screen, you can also, if you click add, you can import sound files that have been recorded elsewhere, or you can record new files as well. But I'm just going to select hello everyone, go to edit, and I'm going to add a new category here. Let's just call it webinar, add new. And you can see that both of these are ticked at the moment because a message can appear in more than one category, but I'll take it out of the top level messages and just leave it in one category. Click OK. OK again. So on the top level here now, that message has disappeared, but if I click on the webinar category, it's in there. So I'm just going to jump back to the home grid now. I'm going to clear that. I just want to show you that once you've recorded a message in message banking, you don't have to play it back from the message banking
Hello.
grid.
Everyone.
I'll speak that.
Hello, everyone.
So you can see that again it's using the recording rather than the computer voice. So the last thing that I want to do just before we finish is show you a quick way to temporarily store a phrase. So this is, imagine that you're halfway through writing a sentence and you're interrupted and you need to quickly answer a question, but you don't want to lose what you were already saying. So we've got these two buttons in the corner, which are kind of like the memory buttons on a calculator. So let's say I'm working on a sentence
I
like this.
hope you
And then somebody says to me,
enjoyed.
I'll make you a cup of tea after you've been doing the webinar. How do you like it? So what I want to do is just click Store Message. Message has been saved. And then I can respond to the interruption.
Milk. No.
Milk, no sugar.
Sugar.
Speak that.
Milk, no sugar.
I can then go to Retrieve Message. Bring back the message I was working on. And that brings us
hope
to
you
the end of
enjoy the
our
webinar.
tour of Text Talker. So I'd like to thank you for watching the webinar and for taking part, and invite you, if you have any questions, to type them in now and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm going to also just put my email address up on screen as well if you want to email me about any specific queries rather than asking your question online now, then feel free to do that. And details there also of downloading the free trial of the Grid software so that you can explore Text Talker for yourself.